What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Week 8 Reactions and Takeaways show on the Fantasy Savvy YouTube channel. I'm your host, Joe Carlton. I'm here with fellow high-stakes ringers, Joey Brown, Dan Jewett, and Josh Bolin. How's it going tonight, fellas?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna go over some. First, we're gonna start out with our hometown teams. We're gonna go over the Bengals-Jets game and the Patriots-Cleveland Browns game. Then we're gonna hit Dan and Josh up for some of their key takeaways and some of their reactions from yesterday's games. And Joey and I will give some reactions and chime in to to each subject in each game. And then at the end of the show, towards the end of the show, we'll do a quick preview of tonight's game, and we'll all give one bet, one prop that we like for sure. And then you as the audience can do what you like with it. You can parlay all four together. You can pick what you like and throw them in however you guys want to do it. But we're all going to give one bet we like from tonight's game. So let's start things off with the New York Jets, Cincinnati Bengals game. Probably the most exciting game from yesterday. The Jets squeaked it out with a 39-38 win, probably ending Cincinnati's playoff hopes. Justin Fields proves the owner wrong. He goes out there and has a pretty good game. It was against the Bengals defense, but still he was discounted, and he went out there and he showed what he could do. He was 21 for 32, 244 yards and a passing touchdown. He also chipped in 31 rushing yards and had a nice 2-point conversion too. Got us 25.3 fantasy points if you play with 6-point passing touchdowns, 23 points otherwise. It was nice to see Breece Hall have a game. He went out there, had 133 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He also threw a touchdown pass to Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor also, we had to be patient for it because he disappeared the entire game until the fourth quarter. And then he came on with a couple of big first down catches, and then he caught that touchdown pass from Breece Hall, finished with a line of 5 receptions, 34 yards, and 1 touchdown. They pretty much the rest of the offense, they spread the ball around. Arian Smith, Isaiah Williams, Tyler Johnson each had about 3 receptions each. Tyler Johnson found the end zone. Would like to note backup running back Isaiah Davis got involved. It was nice to see. Both Jets running backs averaged over 7 yards per carry. Davis had 65 yards on 7 carries, so a little over 9 rushing yards per carry. We know Cincinnati's run defense stinks, but still, it was nice to see that they did what they were supposed to do in this game as an offense, and they put up points and showed signs of life. Isaiah Davis also had 5 catches for 44 yards and a 2-point conversion. Probably, if he's on your waiver wire still, I would definitely add him. He's probably a good stash. We're still uncertain if Breece Hall is going to get traded or not. I don't think he's going to get traded, but you can never rule it out yet. There's still a couple of weeks left for that. So that's my take on the New York Jets side of the ball. I don't know if you boys want to talk about your Bengals and what you saw.
Not really.
Well, Bengals, so as bad as it is to be a Cincinnati Bengals fan and say this, the Bengals defense did exactly what we wanted the Bengals defense to do as fantasy football players, as people who drafted Jamar Chase #1 overall. Like, you liked the Bengals offense because it was good and the defense was bad, so that game script's there every week. The Bengals have to score 38, right? They got to put up over 30. So, being a fan of the Bengals, it sucks. From a fantasy standpoint, that's exactly what you wanted. You wanted Flacco to be out there throwing the ball. You didn't want the Bengals to come out and their defense play rock solid like the 85 Bears and get the Jets out, and Jamar Chase gets 5 targets, and Chase Brown's out of the game by the second quarter, and the game's in hand. So from a fantasy standpoint, that's what we want to see. That's why we like Dallas too, because their defense is soft and their offense is good. But I mean, Jamar Chase is averaging 18 targets a week with Flacco, 54 in 3 weeks, which is, I think, is a record over a 3-week span or 3-game span since they started tracking targets. So now he's might be the guy that everybody had to wait a little bit on there for a few weeks. It was dicey, but you can see the path to where he can become that number 1 receiver or top 2 or 3 receiver in fantasy here by the end of the year for him. Chase Brown's starting to put up points from a fantasy perspective. Samaje Perine, for some reason, me and Dan sitting there just, I don't have hair, so I was pulling my beard out yesterday because it's like we're finally seeing Chase Brown start to do something, and Samaje Perine's out here, like in the middle of the game on first and second down, running the ball. Why are we seeing this? I understand me coming in on third down in situations, but Samaje Perine looked good and starting to put up a few fantasy points. T. Higgins was a letdown. When it's man-to-man coverage, T and Chase absolutely eat. And to Joe's point, with Sauce Gardner out, you knew that Jamar Chase was going to get a lot of targets, but you felt like that the ball was going to get spread around some. And, for T to have the 1 catch for 45 yards and the touchdown, he paid himself off for the day. He gets his 11.5 points or whatever. So you get into double digits with him, but, he didn't reach that 14, 15, 16 point floor that you were really expecting in a game like this where he's not seeing a great corner on him. So I will say, from sitting there watching that game, what it really felt like Isaiah Davis was the spark plug for the Jets. Like he came in when Breece Hall wasn't doing anything really the first quarter and a half. Like the Bengals defense looked decent, and then all of a sudden Isaiah Davis gets involved and he sparked that offense, and the race was on. And I even told Dan at halftime, I just don't have a good feeling about that. I just don't like it, because he kept saying we need the Jets to score so that Flacco could keep throwing. And I'm like, I don't think we want that. I just didn't feel it yesterday. But that's my take in a nutshell. Bengals defense is what everybody who drafted a Bengals player in fantasy wanted. They want the defense to suck so that, thank God, there's Joe Flacco to throw the ball to these receivers and to open it up a little bit for Chase Brown to get to run.
Joe, you want to piggyback off anything here?
I think Higgins has got to be the Pickens role. They have to become Dallas on offense. I know Flacco is not Dak. I'm just saying, from a fantasy standpoint, you need more targets. Yep. You need to be deviated like Lamb and Pickens, Higgins and Chase. It has to be that. It has to be that way. And Davis is the guy from the Jets that I missed out on bad. I put big bids in. I wish I had. I ain't got none of him nowhere hardly where I need him at. He's going to get more usage, I think, from that game.
Yeah, forward. Absolutely. I kind of feel like like Josh made a good point when he was a good spark plug. When they put him in and he was immediately effective, I feel like that helped Breece Hall, because Breece Hall is Isaiah Davis was like a meat tenderizer, and Breece Hall went in there and just and he looked explosive too. He for the first time in a couple of weeks, he was running with purpose, and he was getting to the outside, and he was breaking the edge and picking up those chunk yardage plays.
He looked really good.
So when Josh said, much to Joe's point, we were talking before we went live, and I was telling the boys I put in, when Sauce Gardner was ruled out, I did put in for T. Higgins 2 touchdown bet. And I thought that one was going to hit because he had that one long 44-yard bomb touchdown early on, and then he went the rest of the game without a catch. So they need to find a way to get him more involved. My thoughts on the Bengals offense is with Joe Flacco running that offense and the defense not playing that great, I think you can expect fantasy production from most of the players here. Chase Brown certainly back to where we want him. He was involved both rushing and receiving. 73 rushing yards, 32 receiving yards, a touchdown each. One rushing touchdown, one receiving touchdown. It's good to see him get 25.5 points and hit that ceiling. There was a lot of people who used it early, a second round pick on him. That finally helps. I think that based on their schedule, rest of the season, I think their schedule is pretty good, especially down the stretch. I mean, they got Chicago in week 9, then they're on a bye in week 10, then they have Pittsburgh, which is a good matchup. We saw that with the shootout that happened the last time they played each other. Then we have New England, which I guess you can consider that a tough defensive matchup. But then you got Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, and Arizona. So you're finishing off with four pretty good games as far as a fantasy script can go. So I think if you're a Chase Brown, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase owners, as long as Flacco is upright and healthy and in there, you got to be feeling confident about your Bengals players going forward.
Yeah, even as bad as it was yesterday, at least Pittsburgh lost last night. I mean, for the division's sake. I mean, that's the only promising thing of yesterday. And the key thing of it is, too, is Flacco and them has got to get a few victories. If they keep losing, if they lose some more games, you can probably say Burrow's done.
Yeah.
Any hope for him coming back, it's going to depend on this next stretch of games.
I agree that once they're pretty much mathematically eliminated, Burrow will be shut down for sure. No really reason to bring him back.
And possibly, as you move down that stretch that looks so sexy for the fantasy playoffs, if the Bengals aren't in some kind of contention, all of a sudden Jamar Chase gets shut down because you don't want to see him go down with some crazy injury the second, third week of December, So that's something to watch for there too.
If they are in contention, though, I was telling Josh in a couple of my personal leagues, Joe Burrow went for $1 this week. So if you've got your quarterback through a bye week and maybe it's an average quarterback, I've seen worse dollars spent.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of guys pick him up this past week, actually.
I haven't done it yet, but it's just something I'm keeping my eye on.
If you're in one, I won't drop the name because this certain player got all bent out of shape when we were live streaming the drafts and we were showing the names on the screen. So I won't say, but he's in a lot of leagues. If he's in your league, he probably picked up Burrow this week. So let's jump over to my New England Patriots. They started the game off a little bit slow, but then they had no problem defeating the Cleveland Browns 32-13. Drake May, I heard the MVP chants in the crowd towards the end of the game there. Starting to see some people put it out on social media as well. Drake May, a possible MVP candidate, not necessarily mean that he's going to win it. There's plenty of candidates, including a non-quarterback, although he'll probably never win it because if Saquon didn't win it last year, then how the hell, But Jonathan Taylor should be in the discussion. That man's got four games with three touchdowns, and he's dropping 35-point fantasy games all over the place. But anyway, let's jump into Drake May. He went 18-24 for 282, 3 passing touchdowns. He also chipped in 50 rushing yards. Was nice to see Trevion Henderson get some carries. Early on, he had 2 carries for 30 yards, and then he went a couple of series without getting anything. And Ramondre continued to, only average 2 yards per rush before they decided to give Trevion a few more carries. But it was nice to see him hit double digits in carries. He got 10 rushes for 75 yards. I think it's a sign of things to come. I think that you can only keep him. I think the Patriots have to start using him down the stretch, because Ramondre, as good as he is, as solid as he's been, he lacks the elite production. He had 14 carries for 34 yards. This is a similar line to pretty much every game this year, with the exception of one game, I believe. So he's got 14 for 34. Last week he was 18 for 88 against a crappy Tennessee team. But the week before that, he only had 18 rushing yards on 13 carries. The week before that, 14 rushing yards on 7 carries. So, I think eventually defenses are going to find a way to disrupt and contain Drake May a little bit. And he's going to need Trevion Henderson to get those 10 to 15 carries per game. Excuse me, because he's got more burst, more juice. He's more capable of ripping off a chunk play than Ramondre. So it was good to see him getting more playing time. Stephon Diggs continues to be used conservatively, I guess. He did catch a touchdown, 3 catches for 14 yards, 1 touchdown. Matt Collins was surprisingly involved in this game, highly involved. He had 7 catches, 89 yards. Booty gave us 3 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown for 16.5 fantasy points. That is now 3 consecutive games with a touchdown. He's got 4 touchdowns over his last 3 games, 10 catches, 10 receptions in that span, through 12 targets. So he's catching pretty much everything thrown his way. He given us 26.3 points in week 6, 13.5 points in week 7, 16.5 points in week 8. I think he's officially a consistent flex, wide receiver 3 flex going forward. Week 9, week 10, week 11, we have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Jets coming up, Cincinnati in week 12, the Giants in week 13. Patriots have a week 14 bye this season, and then they got Buffalo, Baltimore, and then the Jets in the playoffs. So their schedule is pretty fantasy friendly going forward as well. So I think you can count on Booty as a wide receiver 3 flex going forward. Hopefully Stephon Diggs. I think they're kind of doing like the Travis Kelce thing with him, that the way the Chiefs are doing with Travis Kelce. They're trying to make sure that he's definitely healthy down the stretch. So I think that's why Diggs is being used conservatively. Plus, as long as Booty is producing consistently, and we know that they spread the ball around anyways. So, I think Stephon Diggs might be like a down the stretch hammer, but something that you might have to be patient on. I do have him on a couple of my teams, and I'm getting to the point where I'm going to start being a little more selective about putting him in the lineup. Just because, he's on that fringe. He's on that wide receiver 3 flex fringe. And, if you have a better option with a better matchup, that might be the way to go, at least for the next couple of weeks. That's my thoughts on the Patriots side of the ball. Dan, you want to give any you have any takeaways from this game from either side?
You covered the offense really well. One thing you didn't mention was Drake May and his legs. Once again, 50 yards rushing. Man, he's just awesome spreading the ball around. One Patriot that me and Josh are heavily involved with, and they're probably not on your waiver wire, but the Pats is just consistently putting up double-digit points in the NFFC. So if they happen to be out there, they got some great games coming up. And then you just went through the playoff schedule. Week 17 is a smash start. So if you can stash 2 defenses, I'm definitely going to have the Pats for the playoff run. But yeah, Pats look good. Drake May, I think, is top 3 MVP right now.
Nice. Joey, you got anything to add?
Really, Drake May's one of these different quarterbacks. He's really good, but he's hard to match up and hook up with somebody as far as the combo. It's best just to play him by himself. I mean, outside of, you can't trust Diggs altogether yet. And Hunter Henry usually was the matchup. But I'm gonna use Drake May next week in prime time and bullet. I like Bo Nix, but I'm gonna use him over Nix just because Houston's got good defense, and we just seen Tua tear up Atlanta, so I'm sure that Drake May will also.
Nice. So we saw Quinshon Judkins pick up a shoulder injury. He's labeled day-to-day. Definitely want to monitor that, the injury and practice report, though, going forward. If he were to miss time, Dylan Sampson, I think, is the running back that's going to benefit the most instead of Jerome Ford. I mean, Jerome Ford will be involved, and it'll be a committee to some degree, but I think for fantasy purposes, Dylan Sampson's the backup you want to have in that situation.
They're on bye next week too, so you might be able to sneak him through waivers pretty cheap.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize they were on bye.
Either one of those.
Good call there. Yeah, good call there. Both tight ends produced, and Njoku missed a week, but he came back this week, and he got involved with 4 catches, 37 yards, and a touchdown. Harold Fannin, this is not a surprise to me that both tight ends were productive against the Patriots. The Patriots defense kind of have been vulnerable to tight ends throughout the year. Harold Fannin, 6 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown, 18.4 fantasy points. Let's see. Jerry Jeudy was Jerry Jeudy active for this game?
Yeah, 2 targets and no catches.
Yeah, he continues to be a disappointment this year.
I don't think he's benchable. I think he's almost cuttable right now if you need a roster spot.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him, man. I don't know if it's the quarterback. The quarterback play is obviously part of it. But
it goes on a trade block. They might get rid of him. So,
and Harold, I think that the 2 tight end, the consistent use of 12 personnel, definitely affected him. Jamie's here just in time for the Harold Fannin talk. Love it. Jamie's all about Harold Fannin and Harold Fannin's mom, whom we met at the Fantasy Football Expo. Great times. All right, so Josh, you have anything to add? I think you're the only one that didn't chime in on this game. If not, go ahead with your first takeaway.
I went pretty heavy on the Bengals there.
You did.
Austin Hooper shows his face just enough to steal stuff from Hunter Henry and make it extremely frustrating. But let's see here.
Go ahead. Give us. I was just going to say the Patriots only use Hunter Henry when nothing else works. So that's
yeah.
Go ahead with your first takeaway from the Sunday games that was not part of these 2 games.
Let's go with I don't know. I talk about the Colts every week. They're the most intriguing team to me out there. I was a doubter at first, and every week they continue to just show up. And we already talked about Jonathan Taylor. You mentioned how many 4 games with 3 touchdowns. Like that's incredible. I still go back to though. Danny Dimes isn't making the mistakes that we used to see him make. That Jonathan Taylor, I think, is helping to open up the offense for him. Michael Pittman, number 6 wide receiver on the year, very quiet. Like you don't hear anyone talking about Michael Pittman, and he's having a really solid, quiet year there. And then Tyler Warren didn't have the game that we wanted him to have yesterday, but he's such a key piece. I don't know, Dan, do you have some other anything else on the Colts game that you wanted to talk about there?
Yeah, there's just a couple guys to keep your eyes on. Downs' first game back from injury went 3 for 39 and a touch. And then I think Joey talked about Pierce last week. Alec Pierce is looking good. He only got 2 targets, had 70 yards. So they definitely got some waiver wire potential on those 2 guys. And you said Pittman was number 6 on the year. I think Danny Dimes, the one I looked this morning, is number 6 on the year. That's just wild. Think about that in draft season. If we knew what we knew now, holy cow.
I wonder where Tyler Warren is in tight ends. He's probably top 3 or 4, isn't he?
He's got to be.
I think he's 5. He was 5 as of last night. I was checking shit out last night. Michael Pittman, 6 touchdowns on the year. There's only 2 games where he doesn't have a touchdown, and those are the 2 games where he gave us less than 10 fantasy points. But like you said, he's been, two dud games out of 8. That's the epitome of consistency. He's given us wide receiver 1 production 6 out of 8 weeks. Yeah. So I'm in on the Pittman thing.
But even down to their team kicker for the Colts, I mean, they have to be fantasy relevant also, I would think.
Team kicker, yeah, they got 9. So team kicker for the Colts, let's check into that real quick. So they started the season off hot. 17.3, 19.4, 11.6, 11. And then week 5, they got a 2. Week 6, an 8.5. Week 7, a 6.6. Week 8, a 9.3. So I think that, the Colts offense is high-powered. The problem with high-power offense kickers is you're going to get some games where they score 4 or 5 touchdowns and don't necessarily give you the field goal attempts you're looking for to get up into the 50-point range for kickers. So, he's going to give you those games. The kicker's going to give you those games where he does get to the 15-point range, but you got to live with the 7s and 8s in between. So,
right.
They played the Tennessee Titans, so let's jump over to Tennessee real quick. Jameer DK, he was my guy. Everybody, the talk last week was, is it going to be DK or Atlanta? And I was siding with DK. What he showed against the Patriots defense was enough for me. I watched that entire game last week, and this week, he showed that he can do it again. 7 catches for 93 yards on, let me see how many targets he had. He had 8 targets for another 16.4 fantasy points. He gave us 4 catches for 70 yards the week before and a touchdown. So 16 fantasy points 2 weeks in a row. Got the LA Chargers in week 9. Then he's on bye. Then Tennessee goes on a bye week. I think as long as Calvin Ridley is out, you can flex DK. He definitely came in handy this week for those of you who had wide receivers on a bye or you had injuries. Drake London was ruled out pretty late in the week, and I know there were a couple of teams that I had Drake London on, and I plugged in DK was my replacement, and I have no complaints. 16 points as a replacement, that's what you want. So that was good to see. Chig kind of still not really fantasy trustworthy. He gave us 4 catches for 53 yards, 9.3 fantasy points. Gunnar Helm continues to be involved in the passing game. He did only have 2 catches, but he found the end. He found the end zone. I think that Tajay Spears is pretty much made Tony Pollard fantasy irrelevant, or at least making you stick Tony Pollard on the bench. No, I don't necessarily think you could rely on Tajay Spears either. I think it's this backfield just kind of sabotages each other. It was nice, Tajay did get 17.2 fantasy points, 59 rushing yards, a touchdown, 3 catches for 23 yards. But it's pretty much an even split committee, which you don't want on a fairly crappy offense, bottom tier. So Cam Ward continues. I think he's got more, he continues to show positive signs. of life. I think the coaching change definitely helped this offense. This is now 2 weeks in a row where they didn't look real bad. Be interesting to see what happens when Calvin Ridley's back in the picture, overall. But that's pretty much what I got out of Tampa Bay. Joe, you have any added thoughts on this before we move on to Dan? Dan's
No.
all right. Dan, why don't you give us your one of your key takeaways from yesterday?
Well, let's talk about my favorite offense each week. And that's whoever plays the Dallas Cowboys. Denver Broncos dropped 44 points, and doing some quick math, I think that's 77 points in the last 5 quarters. I think Bo Nix had a little bit of a slow start. I know Joey referenced him earlier, but 4 tutties again this week. Didn't have much rushing, but really didn't need to. Really looks like he's coming into his own again this year. So spread the ball out. Troy Franklin had a great game. Had 6 for 90 and 2 touchdowns. Make sure he's not out there in any of your leagues. I think he was in one of mine. I didn't get him. Cortland Sutton, if you didn't watch this game, was 4 for 67, had 2 touchdowns. One he dropped, so it's on him. One was called back on a kind of iffy call. So I think he was more involved than what the stats show. He did start out slow yesterday, but I think it's just because Troy Franklin was just wide open. It felt like every play. A guy that I'm keeping my eye on, Pat Bryant, scored again this week, starting to get involved, getting his playing time up a little bit. Evan Ingram's still just kind of that mid-tier tight end too. Saw him get a few snags yesterday. But the biggest thing that I'm watching for the Broncos is Josh and I's best primetime team has Dobbins and Harvey, and it's tough. I know Harvey scored 3 touchdowns this week. He looked electric. Dobbins looked really good too, had 100 yards on 15 carries. The one thing I do want to point out with those 2 guys, I think they're both startable in the right spots. But Dobbins is out snapping him 2-1. Dobbins had 17 touches to Harvey's 8, and then it was a 2-1, 31-16 on the snap share. So be careful starting Harvey. Don't chase the points, but I think there is something there. He looks good, kind of like in New England, same situation. If they start utilizing him right, he's going to be awesome in that offense. But I'm hoping for our benefit that we could just keep one running back going at all times. But we know with Sean Payton, that's just not going to happen.
I will say this while we've been sitting here talking. Bo Nix and this offense is going to get even harder because Pat Surtain's going to be on the IR, looks like, out 4 to 6 weeks. So their defense is not going to be as dominant as it was. I mean, and then I told Joe earlier today, I said, Pat Bryant, and plus Marvin Mims is in concussion protocol. So.
Mims is just a novelty. They just want to run him and just – he had 8 targets last week, and then I don't think he might have had 1 this week.
He's like he's like the Denver Broncos version of Kevontae Turpin, and like they certain games they'll involve him more, but he's not going to be there consistently getting volume. I jumped the gun on Pat Bryant. I will say I drafted him. I was drafting him, and I obviously I ended up dropping him by like week 4, but. A little bit early on him, I guess. I was mixing and matching him and Troy Franklin, as far as Denver wide receivers I was targeting in the late rounds. Kind of wish I used a draft pick on somebody like Quentin Johnston instead, or, they were all going around in that same range. I was taking the second wide receiver and, whoever I thought could be the second wide receiver in Denver. Like I said, I mixed it up with Bryant and Franklin. I knew I was on to something, at the time during draft season, but a little bit early, I guess. I should have let the situation flourish a little bit more because I think I did hold on to Franklin in some places, and there were other places with short benches, non-high stakes leagues with short benches where I dropped them. So if he happens to be available by any chance, Troy Franklin's a must add for sure. That Oregon connection, Bo Nix, Troy Franklin connection is real. We're starting to see it in the NFL now, and it's good to see.
You know, when I was going through my draft strategies, a lot of my teams have got Bo Nix. I have Drake May. And I was all in on Herbert too, but I couldn't take Nix with Herbert. They had the same bye week. So I said, I'll take 2 running quarterbacks. And now it's always like, okay, who am I going to play this week? But now this week I'm going to play Drake May. He's on both of them's almost plug in and go. Well, I think more May. I should take it back. May's more plug in.
Joe, I know you wanted me to look up Pat Bryant's snap shares. He was on the field for 35 plays, Troy Franklin 40, and Cortland Sutton 53, if that gives you an idea. Marvin Mims was at 19, but, I think he did leave early. And Evan Ingram, 27. So he's up there in snaps. He's on the field. He's getting involved. I know he had 9 slot snaps. But with Denver mixes up who they put in the slot. Even Cortland Sutton had 9 slot snaps. Troy Franklin was in the slot for 11 snaps. So they mix up who's in the slot. So it's not necessarily all slot snaps either. But he is getting on the field and he is probably, you can consider him the wide receiver 3 in Denver right now. So it's definitely a name to keep an eye on. Probably maybe worth a deep bench stash. In the event that something happens, if there's an injury, guys miss time, things happen. We know that's the NFL, and this has been an awful year for injuries. So stashing wide receiver 3s is not a bad idea if you have the bench room for it. So Pat Bryant definitely fills that role. Who's up next? Josh?
Yep. I'll talk about the Eagles and Giants. Obviously starting off with the Giants. we all know Cam Scatabo got hurt, really just nasty injury, and that sucks because he was kind of the lifeblood to that team, and they came out. They didn't quit. I first off wanted to see, was the Giants going to roll over and die after that bad fourth quarter against the Broncos, or were they just going to come out unfazed? And they came out tough against the Eagles. The Eagles were ready for revenge, though. They got smacked in the mouth a couple weeks ago, and they were ready to come out and play hard and put the Giants away yesterday. But they losing Cam, that sucks because he was really fun to watch. And I know a lot of people drafted him right, got him at that right spot in the draft, and was able to wait for him. And everything was just coming along, and it was going to be that really good fantasy story this year for him. But the injuries suck, and that's another one there. That was a kick to the gut for a lot of teams. But when one guy goes down, a couple more guys are stepping up. On the other side of the ball, Barkley had maybe his biggest game of the year, if I'm not mistaken, or just about his biggest game of the year yesterday. If he can't have 2 big games against the Giants, he's going to at least have 1. And so he came out and he had a day. But Tank Bigsby had a day. Tank Bigsby looked really good yesterday. And that was something that jumped off the screen to me and Dan when we were watching it, was how good Tank looked. I don't know that I saw Shipley used at all yesterday. I don't have the box score.
Two plays.
2 plays.
Yeah. Three carries for 3 yards, Shipley.
Yeah. Tank looked good though.
Tank had 104 rushing yards on 9 carries. Saquon gave us 150 rushing yards and a touchdown, and 24 receiving yards, 4 catches with 1 touchdown. Saquon left with an injury. I believe it's a groin injury. He kind of downplayed it after the game, and Philadelphia's got a bye coming up. So I'm hoping, I have Saquon in a couple of spots. I'm hoping that with the bye week, he's not going to miss any time. But like you said, Josh, Tank came in and played awesome. Did he earn himself a few carries every game going forward now? that's something we need to be paying attention to going forward. Devonta Smith continues to be consistent, six receptions, 84 yards. This was good to see because he kind of at times can be hit or miss in this offense. But, Jalen Hurts, he's got he's been looking better and better every week. He didn't, go nuts with the passing yards, but he's been efficient, 15 or 20 with 4 passing touchdowns. 179 passing yards. So, with A.J. Brown out, Dallas Goedert delivers two touchdowns, 3 catches for 28 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe, what do you think about Tyrone Tracy? I know you're a Tyrone Tracy guy. What do you think about him with Cam Scatterbull going down?
Well, he'll get all the first chances at, and like I said, I'm sure Singletary will be involved. But I hope to see Tracy more involved in the passing game more than I do lead back rows. I'm hoping, as far as fantasy perspective, I think we need him in the passing game. But he'll have his chances. He should get all the touches going forward, I would imagine.
He had 39 yards on 10 rushes, 2 catches for 14 yards. Singletary had 1 catch for 28 yards. So I think Singletary is going to be in there on third downs and in the passing downs, and most likely possibly the goal line as well. I think Singletary is going to be out there more than we want as we're Tyrone Tracy owners. I think we could see a lot of 8 to 10 point games for Tyrone Tracy, even though he's getting that volume. Be nice to see him get involved in the red zone, but I just going by Singletary's skill set. He's an excellent pass protector, one of the best in the league as far as running backs go. And we know that he can catch passes out of the backfield. He did it for Buffalo. He did it for Houston, and I could see him having that role. So obviously, I think it's, like you said, he's going to be involved. It's going to be a committee. Much expected. Wan'Dale Robinson was pretty contained. 3 catches for 48 yards. Theo Johnson, again, if he doesn't give us a touchdown, he's disappointing us in fantasy lineups. So you got to be careful about where we play him. He only had 3 catches for 20 yards. Daniel Bellinger continues to get involved a lot on third downs. He had that 21-yard catch for a first down. So he's more of a deep threat. Theo is the red zone threat, but that just makes Theo touchdown dependent. So we have to be careful about where we play him. Philly defense is kind of not as good as they were last year. So somebody I was avoiding coming into this year as a defensive target. So not much to talk about there with the defenses. So we'll move on to Dan's next takeaway.
Yeah, let's talk about the Thursday night football game. Chargers.
I feel you, Joey. I feel you.
0.
We did it too. So Chargers, Justin Herbert, looking really good right now. 227-3. Glad to see him open up the run game a little bit with Justin Herbert. Ran for 60-plus yards. That's always nice for the fantasy side. Vidal, once again, 100 yards, touchdown. He had a catch for 10 yards. So we're starting him in 3 or 4 leagues. I know Josh and I pretty much every week right now. It'll be interesting when Hampton comes back, what kind of role Vidal's going to have. And if they slowly get Hampton back or if they just throw him to the 80% again and let Vidal get a couple snaps. But on the receiving game, you can tell Ladd shooting up. He's that second-round guy we were drafting back in August and September. He's looking good. I know we've talked about Gadsden a lot on this show. Man, what a steal that is right now. He looks like a top 3 tight end the way he's playing. And then Quentin, we threw him in last minute. I guess it wasn't too bad. It was him or Diggs. But, man, where did the goose egg come from? And are we starting him going forward?
I don't know. I think Gaston is is the difference. And then I think McConkey is the second round pick everybody took now. But we've seen this story before. I don't know if I'll go back to it. When nobody's been targeted, they'll pepper him with targets that next game in Tennessee. I mean, they could, but this time of year, it's risky. Do you want all of us play in leagues that end in week 14, week championship? And one thing I do when I look at the schedules when they come out, and I always look at week 14 and week 17 Monday night games and hoping I'm in contention to a league title. So I try to draft one of each of them teams. So, I've got Quentin Johnston and I got Vidal, which I had Hampton. And now with the Quentin Johnston thing, this is crazy, but I know there's not many Eagles available, but I'm looking at picking up the kicker to have points on both sides of the ball in week 14. That's just little things I do. I mean, and then week 17, I don't know who knows if Drake London's going to play or not. Who knows with him?
But so you talking about Hampton, like, do we go back and look? Is there correlation with when Hampton got hurt and Vidal came in and Quentin Johnston's numbers fall off? Like, Hampton started playing really good, and the defenses are playing differently against Hampton. Are they playing differently now against Vidal and able to scoot back a little bit and say, hey, we're gonna scoot back, we're gonna take away the over the top stuff or this and that? I don't know. But it seems like the last couple of weeks it's been Vidal, and there's no QJ out there. He's Quentin Johnston's just disappeared. And
one thing on Vidal is he is top 3 or top 5 in the league on yards after contact. So it's not like they're falling back. He's running guys over.
Yeah,
he looked really good Thursday night. Looked real good.
Vidal has surprised me. I didn't think he would be as productive as he is. And I wish, when that week a few backs presented itself and everybody was dropping the FAAB on it, I completely avoided the situation. I shouldn't say completely, because there is one team where I did pick him up. I didn't start him that first week, but I did start him the last couple of weeks. So, but yeah, that was a situation I was avoiding. I didn't think it was going to be worth the FAAB money, but he is filled in brilliantly. Let me see. What
just think if that O-line was a lot better. How much better he would be.
22.8 points in week 6, 7.5 in week 7, and then 19.7 this week. And they got Tennessee next week, Pittsburgh in week 10. So I think you're going to continue to see Vidal. Vidal produce as long as Hampton sidelined. He's definitely been a pleasant surprise if you spent the FAAB on him. Minnesota side of the ball, I think Justin Jefferson, obviously we have to plug him in. He gives us a floor, but he is, without the quarterback play. We saw Carson Wentz underwent shoulder surgery, and he had an IR today. So it's going to be J.J. McCarthy going forward. What's your guys' thoughts on J.J. McCarthy? How do you think he's gonna fare going forward? Anybody have thoughts on that?
We hung on to him in a couple leagues. I hope he uses his legs, get the fantasy points that way, and open it up and go to your guys. Go to Jefferson, go to Addison, go to Hawkinson. But if they don't block for him like they did for Wentz, he's not going to make it very far.
The only thing McCarthy has now that he didn't have the first what did he play 3 weeks and then he got hurt?
I think so.
Yeah. The only thing he's got now that he didn't have then is Addison.
Right.
And he's not a quarterback that this is his rookie year. They threw him in and now he got some time to sit back. All right, now you got to learn a little bit, see what you got. He sat all last year in Mark. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of game time and then getting to sit again. But what the Vikings did to Carson Wentz was criminal. I don't even like Carson Wentz. That was awful. Like, man, that poor guy. I got respect for him because he kept coming out there, but that was bad.
Nice. We got Ruben in the chat real quick. We'll hit this real quick because we still have a couple of things to point out on the reactions. He's appreciate you tuning in, man. He wants to make a big trade. His current team is Jalen Hurts, Chase Brown, I'm assuming, Brees Hall, Josh Jacobs, Michael Pittman, Tucker Kraft, Dallas Goedert, Ladd Higgins, Worthy Hunter, Caleb, AJ Brown, Woody, and Benson. Who should I trade for? Team looks pretty solid to me. I mean, what Jamar Chase. Okay. So what exactly can we upgrade here? You got Tucker Kraft at tight end. You got Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, and Ladd and Higgins. Those are 4 great wide receivers. And you got Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs. And then you got A.J. Brown sitting there. You got Trey Benson eventually coming back. Woody Mox has been slowly coming on. He's game script dependent, but he's been slowly coming on as a fantasy asset. So I guess you could upgrade running back. So that's where I would go here. I would maybe package a wide receiver and one of your running backs and try to upgrade. Maybe do like an A.J. Brown and Brees Hall and try to grab you're probably overpaying for Chase Brown, but maybe Chase Brown is somebody I would target in a trade because he's great with Joe Flacco at quarterback. You'll have a nice Cincinnati stack there, and their schedule going forward, especially down the stretch and into the playoffs, is real nice, fantasy friendly. So Chase Brown is somebody I might target at running back, or if you really want to tear up to like a Jonathan Taylor or something, then I would package one of your wide receivers and a running back and try to tear up to a Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley type of player. But other than that, man, your team is pretty solid, and I don't see how much more you can upgrade here. Do you guys have any other thoughts there?
I would hope Worthy has a good game and sell him tonight.
Yeah. Like sell one of your wide receivers for a running back to add depth. You could package a wide receiver with a running back to tear up one of your running backs. Or I think you're okay just standing pat too. But if there's anywhere that you're going to upgrade, it's running back. I don't see where you need to upgrade anything else.
But I'm assuming this is a PPR league, I guess, that most people play.
Yeah, Pittman's schedule gets a little tougher as the season goes on, but man, he's been consistent. I think that if he gives you a dud game, you're going to kind of live with it because he's got 6 touchdowns through 8 games. He could be somebody you can sell high on too if you're getting the right return. I mean, you have enough good wide receivers that you could literally trade any single one of these to get yourself a running back to add depth or to tear up at running back to make your starting lineup, that much stronger down the stretch. But we're going to move on from that because we do want to cover tonight's game as well. And we got about 20 minutes left. Who'd we leave off on? Dan, you were the last takeaway, right?
I think so.
All right, so Josh, what else you got for us?
You want to talk about tonight, or you want me to hit another game real quick?
Hit another game. There's still a couple of games. We didn't talk about Bijan. We didn't talk about Miami. We could talk about Atlanta, Miami if you want.
I will gladly talk about Bijan.
Go tell us about the disappointment this week.
So who are the Falcons? I mean, they're the number one pass defense, right? Like they were just shutting teams down, and the Dolphins are no good. We know that. They're about the biggest joke in the NFL that they've still got Mike McDaniel as their coach. And I mean, Devon Chan and you can throw Waddle in there, and that's the only 2 guys you're starting every week. That's with Miami Dolphins. And they're playing in Atlanta, so I mean that's a given. You start the Falcons defense, smash. Penix is out. Cousins is in. Bijan's going to run and have a day, smash. And you know what? Go ahead, and if you got Algier on your bench and you're needing somebody in a flex on Bimageddon, throw Algier in there too because, hey, when they get up, they're going to pull Bijan. Algier's going to get a cheap touchdown in 25, 30 yards. Awesome. Put Algier in for a small prop bet. Put Algier in your DFS because he's cheap. And what happens? Freaking Dolphins smoke him. I just don't even understand. Like, it's the things like that that just make you scratch your head and go, you know, you can do all the studying you want. You can look at the numbers and this and that. And no one could tell me in their right mind that the Dolphins were going to do what they were going to do yesterday.
Right there. We got the guy right above you, not going to lie, on the phone with me Sunday morning. And he's galaxy brained it to happen. What did you say to me, Joe? You remember?
I said, I believe that Miami may beat them. And you said, you're crazy.
I told him, I was like, no, but no, I was like, no way. He goes to me, what do you, this is what kills me about you guys. Like every single one of you guys once a week surprise the shit out of me with what you say. And it ends up happening. Joey does it a lot too. Joey, he was, what were you, Galaxy Brain and Jalen Waddle? He was
you guys. It was good play.
He was like, hear me out, man. You think I'm crazy? I could see Miami pulling off an upset here and Jalen Waddle having a good game. I should start Jalen Waddle, right? That was his exact words. And I was like, no way, I told him, I was like, you should definitely start Waddle over Wandale. Yeah, I was 100% on board with that. But when you said Miami being in this game, I was like, no way. But he touched on it and he galaxy brained it, right? And it's so there you go, Josh.
Just your gut, just going off sheer gut, or what did you see there?
Explain it to us, Joe.
I guess I was just mad because Drake London let me down. I have to play Waddle anyway, so I just hope they win. You know, basically.
Screw you, Atlanta.
Yeah,
freaking Dolphins. I'm going to will them to win.
But you know what, though? I really think I think Atlanta's still stuck on winning their Super Bowl, beating Buffalo. I don't know if they've ever came out of that. You know, only thing I was skeptical of, like what Josh was saying, their pass defense is so good, and then you don't. I figured Bijan have 200 yards anyway. I was even skeptical of Drake London, to be honest. I mean, in that game, but it was just. We never know what to expect. Expect the unexpected in fantasy football and NFL.
When Kyle Pitts is Atlanta's leading receiver, there's issues there.
No, that was clearly the problem. And Cousins looked awful. He was terrible. The defense is what kills me too, because they were the biggest streamers of the week and they goose egged you. I just want to talk real quick about Malik Washington. He did have 4 catches, 36 yards, and a touchdown. He's now got 13 targets in the last 2 weeks, 9 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown for the last 2 weeks. He gave us a 13.6. Obviously a desperation stock play, but I think it's somebody that you can roster at this point. He should be rostered. If he is available in your waiver wire, I think he's worth an ad as a deep stash or an emergency flex start. They got Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington, and then they're on bye. So their next 3 games are actually pretty fantasy friendly. Baltimore has given up deep. Malik Washington's not a deep ball guy. He's a low A dot guy, and he makes things happen after the catch. But Baltimore and Buffalo, both their defenses have not been playing well. Washington also gives up. They're also in the bottom third in defenses. So just wanted to note Malik Washington.
And you added him, didn't you, just past week?
Yeah. I think I only used him in one spot, and it was a league where we had to start 2 flexes. So, and I had bye week issues. JSN was on a bye, and Trey McBride was on a bye, and I had to take Gadsden out of the flex spot, put him in the tight end spot, and then I had flex spots open. So I did play him in one spot. We got a guy. We went over Tyrone Tracy earlier. He's absolutely worth a waiver, a number one waiver spot. Any running back that's stepping into a number one role is worthy of a number one waiver spot. We did talk about Devin Singletary being involved. I do think he is the third down running back, and he could potentially steal goal line work. I think they'll split the goal line work, but he's definitely a potential goal line vulture here. He's one of the better pass protecting running backs in the league. He was there for C.J. Stroud in his rookie year as a great pass protector and third down running back. We know he can catch passes out of the backfield. We know Tyrone Tracy can catch passes out of the backfield. I do think it's going to be a committee to a degree, but Tyrone Tracy's going to get slightly more early down work and probably end up with more carries per game. I think it's going to be 2-1 as far as carries go.
And plus, depends on his roster construction too. I mean, does he really need Tracy, or do he just want him, or does
Good
he
point.
need
That's a good point.
help? Or
You can never have enough running back depth.
Yeah, that's what
true.
I'm saying. The running back one presents himself, and at the very least, if somebody really wants him, you can trade him if there's trading allowed. We got which two? We got one more question here. Good show. Anyway, which 2 running backs do you see having the strongest performances tonight? Seeing a high. All right, we're gonna go over the game shortly. FP 911. Appreciate you for tuning in. We are gonna go over that game shortly. Is there? Let's see. Yeah, we got 2 more minutes if you guys want to cover one more game before we review tonight's game. Is there anything that we missed?
I do want to bring up one name, sort of like what Dan did on Pat Bryant. One I mentioned it could be fool's gold, but I'll see what you all guys think. Did Roman Wilson pass the eye test last night? I mean, this time of year, just digging for any kind of help. Does he start becoming? You have to gain Aaron Rodgers' trust somewhere along the way. So I just how he can be, but
it's hard to be. It's hard to be a 2 for Rodgers, but I thought he looked good. And if you recall, he was either a late first or a mid-second round draft pick. So the draft capital's there.
Yes.
So let's see. He was on the field for 29 snaps. Calvin Austin 49. DK Metcalf 59. So he might not be on the field enough yet, Joey, but he's definitely somebody I would be keeping an eye on.
I mean, especially like a cheap stash. I mean, just to see he can always be cut. But
his 4 catches, 3 of them were big catches.
Yes,
like they came in big moments in the game, and I don't know where that stands out to in fantasy exactly, but he might be worth the pickup just to stash on your bench for emergency use or something, because if Rodgers is going to him in those situations, then he does have that trust there. And like Dan was saying, it's hard to be a 2 for Rodgers. It's even harder to be a really young wide receiver and play with Rodgers. So,
all right.
Yeah, he's hard to play with.
I think if we can see his snap percentage increase, then he might be somebody we can consider using for fantasy. But definitely a bench stash right now. Joe, nice name drop for those deep leagues with a free agent list is pretty dry. So let's jump over to tonight's game. We'll review it real quick. We got the Washington Redskins at the Kansas City Chiefs. I made the guys all come up with one prop bet that we like. But why don't we start with how we think the game is going to play out? Joey, what's your thoughts on tonight's game? Chiefs Redskins. How you think it's going to go down?
It's going to be a lot of garbage time for I'm afraid for Washington, which I hope they are. I've been against some guys who's got the Kansas City defense, so I just really want them to score, losing 4 points, but it's just going to be, like I said, people who's using Mahomes and may not even get him in the fourth quarter tonight. He might be 3 quarters, it's over with for most of the Chiefs. So,
what are we doing here? Are we starting Debo or Scary Terry?
How many points do you need?
I'm leaning Debo here
because of Mariota. I lean Debo.
Yeah, first game back for Terry. So
and even so, like the first couple of games, Terry looked like he didn't do anything that really stood out. 3 catches, 4 catches. He gave us under 10 points in every game. I guess Terry probably gives us a floor. Oh, excuse me, but I think Debo gives us a floor as well with a possible ceiling. I don't know. It's a tough one. I think they both could get garbage points in the second half, though.
Zach Ertz probably will get a lot tonight. He needs 2 catches too for a milestone. I can't pass Tony Gonzalez or something. So, but we could go back to a long time ago when we talked about Detroit. It could be Krosky, Merritt, Rodriguez, anybody that can run out there. McNichols, keep that Chiefs offense over on the sideline. It may be Mariota may run some too. So they don't have a whole lot of chance, I don't think. Unfortunately.
And we go back to this question now that we're on the game here. We got
Debo's over on his catches is 4.5. Terry's is 3.5, and that's on FanDuel. So
okay.
That might help you out some there. And Debo gets the ball handed to him a couple times. I don't know. Terry's probably getting a deeper target, but if Mariota throws it, I don't know.
So which 2 running backs do we see having the strongest performance tonight? Seeing a high scoring game tonight, hit the like button. Appreciate that, man. Subscribe if you're not subscribed as well. Steve's been working on his channel. We do a lot of late night shows where we go 2-3 hours deep on them. We get real in depth with the info and the opinions, and we give out a lot of bets and parlays. So definitely subscribe, hit the bell button so you know when we're going live. One running back that sticks out to me, I'll go first since, and I'll talk about my one player prop that I like tonight, is Brashad Smith. I think that he got increased playing time last week. He had 14 carries. Last week he had 5 receptions. He's given us 4 consecutive games with at least 3 receptions. I like his prop. I like him for over 4 receptions tonight. And I also like the 25 plus receiving yards, and I'm even ladder in the 40 plus receiving yards. The odds on it are great. It was like plus 232 the last time I checked when I put the bet in. Just looking at Washington Redskins against pass catching running backs. They are 20. Let's see, 32. They're 26th in the league against running backs as far as receiving yards for running backs go. They've given up 291 receiving yards on 26 catches. So you're talking over 10 yards per catch to running backs. So if he hits that 4 catch mark, I like his chances of going over 40 yards as well. So that's my prop bet for tonight. Brashad Smith gets 4 receptions for 40 yards. The safer bet is the 25 plus yards, but have no problem with laddering it and going both ways there. I think him and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt are the best running back plays tonight. Joe, I know you wanted to talk about him, so I'll save. I won't go into detail about that, but I'll tell you why I'm not in on Isaiah Pacheco, and it's because of the increased usage by Brashad Smith. Kareem Hunt is still in the picture and active. He could always vulture a goal line touchdown. There's 2 ways Pacheco's production can can take a hit. I think this game will need to stay close in order for Pacheco to hit the 15 to 20 carry mark. Patrick Mahomes likes to scamper around as well, and they pass the ball 67% of the time as is. And in Washington's front four is their strong part of their defense. And Pacheco, as hard as he runs, it's not the greatest inside runner, if you ask me. I think they design a lot of runs, zone runs for him, and it's just the matchup doesn't bode well for Pacheco. So that's kind of why I'm off of Pacheco tonight, and why I like Brashad Smith more. And Joe, I'll let you talk about your Corey Krosky-Merritt guy.
All the reason why I put this prop in is because I'm using him tonight. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm
going well this one. Here we go.
70 plus for rush and receiving yard total. He'll go.
How much was it?
70 plus yards total for rush and receiving on DraftKings. Plus 152.
Nice. Plus odds. I like it.
It's just because I'm using him. I mean,
Joey is the best at galaxy brain and things to happen, I will say. And look,
we have to have garbage time. So,
and look, Jeremy McNichols will probably get some receptions, but Washington could be playing from behind most of this game, and Bill is definitely their best their most talented running back. It's not even close, actually, if you ask me. Chris Rodriguez, we know what he is. Jeremy McNichols is strictly passing down backs. So
he's better than Rodriguez, I think, too.
Kansas City's been pretty good against the run at home, but one thing I noticed about them is they do give up some chunk play runs, and I think a lot of that has to do with them going into prevent defense in the second half when they have big leads, and then teams just run the ball when they decide they're going to run the ball. They get the 7-8 gains, but still, that all counts. So towards your yardage total, any way you look at it. So I don't mind the bet. I'm
going to let Josh talk real quick, and then I'll go behind him if that's all right.
All right.
We got to get off running backs, but I'm going with Jeremy McNichols. I liked his over on catches. It's 1.5. It's going to be garbage, like you guys said. Boom, boom, 2 dump-off passes, probably by the end of the second quarter. And at halftime, you've cashed that one. Go ahead, Dan.
So I just want to take a second and just say to Joey and you two, Josh and Joe, what a fun year it's been talking with you guys, getting to meet you guys, have all this fun. Something Josh and I do, we watch football in my basement every Sunday. And if you guys are ever in town, you're obviously welcome to stop by. What we do is Josh's boy comes over, Jacob, and there's 3 of us, and we put together, we kind of mentioned it a few times, we'll put together like a touchdown parlay, a long shot parlay. We do 3 or 4 bets, and it's fun because last year we hit a couple, and when we hit a couple, we all won money, which was great. A couple times we lost by 1, so we got misery together. We got to celebrate together. So with our parlays, I want to make you guys honorary basement, Dan's man cave and Josh's man cave. I'm going to show you what we do over here in Cincinnati, Ohio. If I can flip my camera around.
Yeah.
So we got the bet board.
Nice.
So we got everybody's bet there. I'll post this on Twitter, guys. If anybody wants to follow us, I'm gonna keep it real simple. It's tight end week. It's Travis Kelce, Monday Night Football, anytime touchdown, -105. I want to parlay these together and see what it comes out to. But there's our bets, guys.
On FanDuel, it's plus 22.19 if you put all that together.
What was it, Josh?
Starts getting the end zone.
It was plus 22.19 is what I got.
That's worth $10.
Nice. I love it.
And when it doesn't hit, I'll sit here and stare at this for 3.5 hours.
That's just
what was yours, Dan? Travis Kelce
anytime. It's Monday night. I don't know if
easy money
there or not. Is T Swift there tonight? Because it's a guarantee.
He had 90 yards and a touchdown last year on tight end weekend. So
It's a guarantee.
Well, I was just gonna say he's gonna get that touchdown out of spite because he didn't get to play on the tight end day.
Yeah.
Right. He'll get it.
Nice. This was a good show, guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope we helped you out. Hope we gave you some good nuggets going into week 9. What else we got?
And don't be afraid to start looking at it week 10. I mean, I'm bad for that. I like to look at least a couple of weeks out. Go ahead and even during the Sunday night game, I'll go and start setting lineup just to glance at them, just see what I'm shorting or I'm not bashful. I'll bid on people who was on bye this week if I can make it work.
Look who got cut last week too.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll always pay attention to who gets dropped.
And one that you all mentioned available in like my prime time and bullet is Tank Bigsby. He was dropped.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Wilson's another one I'm keeping my eye on.
Joe,
He looked better.
Yeah, Joe, who I told you I went in and I picked up Will Shipley. I picked up the wrong guy last week. Remember you asked us Saturday night who and there was one spot I had one team. It was just one team where I had a bench spot that I needed to recycle because I missed out on a bid, and I was sitting there with 2 kickers, and I don't need 2 kickers anymore because my kicker was come back from that I didn't want to drop, come back from bye week. And the most attractive thing I saw on the free agent list was who I thought was the number 2 running back in Philly, and I picked the wrong one. So I mean, I was on the right track. My player selection just wasn't. I'm going to go back and look, and hopefully Tank Bigsby's not available. Then I won't feel as bad. But if Tank Bigsby's there, I'm going to be like, damn, I could have had Tank Bigsby for $1 because that's what I put in for $1 on Will Shipley. Just to stash in case Barkley, you never know what happened, and Barkley tweaked his groin. He downplayed it, and he's got the bye week coming up, so I don't think he's going to miss time, but you never know. So all good points, Joe. But the game's about to start, or it already started probably. So we're going to call it a night. Appreciate it, everybody tuning in. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you all next week, same time, 7 p.m. Enjoy the game, guys.
Okay.
See you.